Imagine waking up on a planet where walking in a straight line slowly pulls you sideways toward the center of a giant wall. Sounds impossible, right? But in 1884, a mysterious astronomer claimed a cubic planet existed beyond Neptune. And decades later, another man appeared with maps, sketches, even descriptions of alien life living on a cube-shaped world. Coincidence? Or did they discover something everyone else ignored? Because here's the strange part. A cube planet shouldn't even exist. Every planet we know is round. Earth, Mars, Jupiter, even distant exoplanets. Gravity crushes everything equally toward the center, forcing worlds into spheres. That's how planets are born. 4.5 billion years ago, clouds of dust collapsed into spinning chaos around the young sun. Tiny collisions became giant impacts. Giant impacts became planets. And gravity shaped them all into perfect curves. But what if one planet escaped that rule? What if Earth suddenly became a cube? At first, it sounds harmless. 6 giant sides, 8 corners, infinite flat landscapes. But the second you step outside, everything changes. Gravity would no longer pull evenly beneath your feet. On a cube Earth, gravity would drag you toward the center of each face. That means the closer you move toward an edge, the stranger the world feels. The ground would seem tilted. Walking would feel like climbing a mountain that never ends. And that's not even the craziest part. The oceans wouldn't spread across the planet anymore. Water would collapse inward, pooling into massive seas at the center of each side. Entire continents near the edges would dry out into endless cliffs and barren rock. Rivers would literally flow uphill from the corners toward the middle of every face. But then scientists realized something even more terrifying. The atmosphere itself would begin to slide. The air on a cube Earth wouldn't stay balanced. Gravity near the center of each face would hold the atmosphere tightly in place, creating thick, breathable zones. But near the edges and corners, the air would become dangerously thin. And this is where it gets weird. If the cube had the same volume as Earth today, its sharp corners could actually stick out beyond the atmosphere entirely. Imagine standing on a mountain where one more step places you directly into space. No oxygen, no protection, just the black vacuum of the universe inches away. Would humans even survive there? Maybe. But civilization would be completely different. Cities would cluster near the centers of each face, where gravity feels normal. The edges of the world would become almost mythical places, giant sloping wastelands leading toward impossible cliffs. And the corners? Practically forbidden zones. But climate might be even worse. Because the way the cube rotates changes everything. If the planet spins through the center of 2 opposite faces, the top and bottom become frozen polar worlds while the 4 side faces turn into brutal equatorial heat zones. Storms would be violent beyond imagination. Hurricanes could travel across entire faces without interruption. Seasons would become extreme. Entire civilizations could collapse from temperature swings alone. But then comes the twist no one expects. If the cube rotated through opposite corners instead, every side would experience milder temperatures. No burning equator. No frozen poles. A strangely balanced world. Sounds better, right? Not exactly. Because gravity would still feel wrong. The farther you traveled from the center, the more your body would strain against the slope of the planet itself. Buildings near the edges would need insane engineering just to remain stable. Sports, transportation, even basic movement would evolve differently. And that's when scientists noticed something truly disturbing. You might actually be able to see the curve of gravity itself. On normal Earth, gravity feels invisible because it pulls evenly everywhere. But on a cube Earth, gravity changes direction depending on where you stand. Near the edges, objects wouldn't fall straight down anymore. Rain could drift sideways. Rivers could bend unnaturally. Even airplanes would struggle to navigate invisible gravitational shifts. What happens next changes everything. The corners of the cube could become the deadliest places on the planet. Almost no atmosphere, brutal slopes, freezing temperatures, and beyond them, open space. Humans standing there would literally see the stars with no atmospheric haze above them. A place where Earth ends and space begins. And suddenly, those old stories about a cubic planet don't sound so ridiculous anymore. Because humans have always imagined impossible worlds before discovering real ones. Ancient civilizations dreamed of flying machines long before airplanes existed. Writers imagined submarines before engineers built them. So what if somewhere in the universe, gravity and matter collided under conditions we've never seen before? Could a cube planet actually form? Most scientists say no. Gravity eventually smooths everything into spheres. But some researchers believe gigantic artificial megastructures could mimic cube-like worlds. In other words, a cube planet might not be natural at all. And that changes the entire mystery. Because if a cubic world exists, someone may have built it. An entire civilization living across 6 colossal faces. Oceans trapped in the centers. Cities climbing impossible slopes. Space visible from the corners of the world itself. But here's the question nobody can answer. If humans discovered a cube-shaped planet tomorrow, would we explore it? Or would we finally realize some worlds were never meant for us? And maybe that's the real reason the stories never disappeared.